I left everything I own in one place. Damn it!
This is the intro song to the podcast King of the What Now. Join us as we go on a journey, going to talk about pirates, battle and adventure. We think we're pretty funny, we hope you will too. Luffy, he's gotta be the king of something. We weren't really listening, sorry about that. Hopefully he'll achieve his dreams, yeah.
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 12 of King of the What Now. We are under attack by giant breakdancing hippos. Someone save us. I'm Joel. Longtime fan. Sorry.
Aww. And I'm Curtis, his co-host and watching buddy. And also the hippos are hungry.
Also, Curtis is actually excellent at breakdancing. I believe that throughout this episode, he will dance off with the hippos in order to keep them at bay. Yes, those are some excellent moves in a purely audio format, my co-host.
You can all see that.
Yes.
Just use your mind. Whatever you're imagining is better than what I actually just did.
All right, we have just finished episode 11 of the anime called Expose the Plot, Pirate Butler, Captain Kuro. And I just want to say really quick, that episode title is a little weird because it kind of feels like they're saying that Pirate Butler, Captain Kuro should be the one to expose the plot, but I don't think he's going to show his hand right now.
I mean, he already exposed the plot in the last episode.
So really, this title should apply to the last episode.
Yeah, I think, the real lesson here, they're just bad at titles.
Okay, so instead of summarizing this episode, why don't you give us your perfect title for this episode?
This title is, it's Usopp, the boy who cried pirates. Actions have consequences.
Okay, I would probably call it Usopp all alone. Gosh, it sucks to be Usopp. That's what I would call this episode, personally.
Yeah, no, that one works too. I think really just to emphasize how miserable Usopp is.
Okay, and for those people who have not had a chance to watch the episode recently or before this episode, could you actually summarize the episode and why we think that?
Yeah, I was thinking about this before we started recording. I think I'm not gonna give you a time one this time. I'm just gonna give you the things I think are important on it.
Okay.
And this episode is basically summarized by nobody believes Usopp's lies anymore. Mm-hmm. So Usopp tried to tell the village, hey, there are pirates coming. Nobody believed him, even though he told them he was telling the truth this time. But obviously he's lied so many times, they don't believe him. Then he went and tried to save Kaya, thank you. And Kaya didn't believe him, specifically because he was saying bad things about the butler, and she thinks the butler is great.
Mm-hmm. She thinks he has a nice booty.
Mm-hmm. He has a nice butt, because he's a butler.
They actually used that in the last episode. I don't know if you caught it. It was really quick, but one of the kids called Clawhador the butler, and they very specifically put that.
Oh, no, I missed it. Okay. Man.
Maybe you heard it and you subconsciously remembered it, and so now when we're talking about the next episode, it just kind of is surfaced.
Yeah, we're going with that.
Okay.
So yeah, nobody believes him, and then he starts walking back all defeated, right?
The really sad music plays.
Oh yeah, there's very sad music. And then he runs into the kids and Luffy and the gang, and the kids are like, we gotta go warn the village. But then Usopp doesn't want to admit that nobody believes him anymore, so he tells them that he was lying about Clawhador, that's right, Claw. He tells them that he was lying about Clawhador being a pirate just because that's what he does. And then they were like, we don't respect you anymore because how could you say something so horrible about another person, right?
We never thought you would lie to hurt someone.
Mm-hmm. And so then now he's like super sad because even his kids, his crew, don't believe in him anymore.
He went from a father of 3 to a father of none.
Yes. It's horrible. But then at the end of the episode, so nobody believes him, except obviously Luffy does and Luffy's crew does because they believe Luffy. And then they decide, we're going to help him. But then they decide that they're going to help Usopp, who has decided to go ahead and stop the pirates at the beach himself. He doesn't care if anybody believes him or not. They don't need to see it. He's just going to do it.
The truth is irrelevant. What matters is the perception of reality. And the perception is he's a liar. So if he can stop the pirates, then they won't realize that that he wasn't lying, but that would be actually worse if they found out that he told the truth and they were being killed by pirates. It's better for him to be the bad guy in air quotes, because he lies to them all the time, and there just to be no pirates. That's the best possible situation for them, is no marauding pirates.
Yeah, he would rather than be safe and believe him a liar than for him to be proven a truth teller, but to have them hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. What did you think of the episode? Sorry, you looked like you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I was planning on not doing anything chronological, and then I did it anyways.
It's important, right? Because, we can say Usopp was sad, but there's many different reasons why a character could be sad. I do agree that we don't need to, hit a blow for blow, and then Clawhador turned to the left, who in there was standing, that sort of thing isn't really that important.
Yeah.
One thing I don't think that's relevant, but a really quick detail, is that Kaya, in fact, knew that tomorrow was the 3-year anniversary of Clawhador joining them, and she got a nice pair of glasses for him. Hopefully a pair that doesn't slip as much is your comment.
Yeah, so then he doesn't have to do that weird adjusting thing that he does with one hand, just his palm on the side of his glasses, as opposed to just grabbing them from the sides or pushing up in the middle or...
Why, Curtis, I think that the way that he adjusts his glasses might be foreshadowing. We'll have to tune in later and find out. So we are balancing a fine line discussing these early episodes. A lot of people, I assume, have seen these episodes. And there's also the fact that we're trying to keep any knowledge you have of the future series kind of out of this, that sort of thing. But I would say that the way he adjusts his glasses, every time I've watched these episodes with people who don't know, they always go, "That's really weird. Joel, can you explain why this character's so weird?" And I always go, "I could explain. Give it another 6 or 7 episodes." And I really like the payoff for that.
Okay.
So it's not random. There's a reason for it, and I'm not going to tell you because it's better to see than to believe, to be told. Okay, you dodged the question enough already. What did you think of Sad Usopp?
Well, the whole time I had that song, the "I'm all alone, there's nobody here beside me."
Okay, we can get copyright stricken and taken off of stuff for stuff.
Okay.
They won't care because we're not big enough, but if someday we're famous as the only podcast who have covered every episode of the anime from start to finish.
Okay, let me start over here. I was very sad.
Okay.
Poor Usopp.
Yeah.
Nobody believes him, not even the girl that he maybe likes. I don't know. But, the obviously there's nothing special there. And even she doesn't believe him anymore. His crew doesn't believe him. He has nothing left on this island. Really, he should just let it burn. I don't understand.
Perfect.
He has too much loyalty to these people. They don't deserve it.
Perfect. I like the Usopp heel moment there that we're discussing. You are familiar with the heel and the head? No. Yes, there's Curtis's famous smart aleck responses in wrestling.
With a visual joke.
What?
With a visual joke.
With a visual joke in an audio medium. No, it's heels and heads in wrestling are the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys are heads and heels are the bad guys. And in wrestling, people will switch allegiances, and that's called turning heel or turning head. And so when I called him heel Usopp, I was saying basically he goes from a good guy to a bad guy. He realizes that this village has done nothing for him, and he just lights the match and then turns his back to it. One thing else, too, if you haven't seen the episode, the song Overtaken is the classic one from One Piece, and I'm not sure how much attention we'll get if we try to, sing it on here, but it's the classic Things Are About to Go Down song.
I got this. It's
Okay.
the dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. It plays most often at the end of episodes. There's a certain trope that goes along with it that I can't discuss with you right now, but we'll get to a moment where I'll be like, this is the moment I was talking about all those podcast episodes ago. But it's iconic for me, and it immediately registers, and it plays as it basically shows Zoro and Nami and Luffy being like, yeah, we're going to fight these pirates, and it gets me way more pumped up than it probably got you pumped up, because every time I hear that song, my brain can recall 3 or 4 other really cool scenes where the song plays, and it's a great through line, I think is the word that you would use.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you thought of the episode. Did you think that this episode was filler?
No.
Okay. At this point, we don't really need to justify. We're in the middle of an arc, and so I think that so long as it furthers the plot, it's probably not filler.
Yeah. I'm sad, though.
Okay?
We didn't have any more crabs. Where was the crab, Joel?
Your predictions... Okay, it's not true foreshadowing if it immediately comes true. You've got to give it a couple of chapters or episodes for it to come back.
I'm going to be watching.
Clawdor will be like... Or Kuro. We can call him by his real name now, but Kuro will be like, behold, my final form... And then you'll get squished by a giant crab that fell from the sky. And then the crab will be like, I am your god now. Face me in battle.
I ate the crab fruit.
And every single one of his little tiny crab legs, not the pincers, but the legs, will be peg legs.
Oh.
Yes.
Will he have an eye patch?
I don't think that he will.
And one of his claws is going to be a hook instead of a claw?
It'll be 2 hooks, that kind of... Yes. It'll be very impractical, but it will look amazing.
Actually, we already had a crab person.
But they were filler.
Yeah.
So what we need is a canon representation of all crabs and crustaceans.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
All right, so the obvious answer to this is they try to stop the pirates. The spirit of the question, what do you think will happen next, is more along the lines of, do you see any complications or any kind of, like, maybe mess-ups? How do you see them handling the pirates next episode?
Well, I'm curious because I think that Luffy and Zoro could probably take on a decent number of enemies, right?
Okay.
But Usopp's mostly gonna want to be like the main participant, right?
Okay.
And I think also the other people are gonna be inclined to let him since it's kind of his deal, right?
Yes.
I'm curious what he's gonna do. Because so far his only tactic has been like tricks in that, and then occasionally shooting people with a
slingshot.
Slingshot, yes.
And I mean, it's cool how accurate he is with the slingshot, but do you really think that you can stop... We saw a sneak preview of the pirates on the ship. We've seen them twice now. It's a pretty sizable group. I don't know if you can stop them with just a regular slingshot. Mm-hmm.
So I think there's going to be some sort of trickery involved. I'm curious to see what that is, because we're getting to the point now where I think I've seen up through the end of this arc at some point in the past, but I do not remember the details as much, so I don't remember what happens. I'm curious what's going to happen.
Okay, absolutely. So, big spoilers, they just use hairball attacks. That's why they're called the Black Cat Pirates. They kind of they make all these gross throw-up sounds, and then they just barrage their enemies. No, you don't put that... That's actually impressive. I didn't expect you to throw up on the mic as part of a what's that called? Live art experience. Yeah.
I've had that hairball working all day, Joel, just for that joke.
You somehow inceptionized the joke in my mind so that I could lead it and then you could finish it with its only logical conclusion.
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything in this episode that you felt that will be unresolved by the time they beat Kuro? That will come back later in, say, 50 episodes or more?
I wouldn't be surprised if Kuro and maybe Django get away.
Okay.
Like, maybe they defeat the pirates, but some amount of them leave, right? Like, it's probably not going to be like they kill all of them. They just stop them, right?
Sure. Yeah, Usopp just creates a giant mask, sets on fire. He creates this, like, fake deity, and the Black Cat Pirates get so scared that they just run away. But they're not captured. They're not necessarily taken out of the picture sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Especially since Morgan and Alvida and Buggy are the only 3 main antagonists we faced, and all of them, to some degree or another, are idiots. And so Kuro's the first person to show up who fills that, I think, 40 steps ahead anime archetype sort of thing. So he would be the most likely to be able to escape.
Yeah, and I think what'll happen is they'll win, and Kuro's going to hold a grudge, right? Because he's not going to appreciate being shown up by somebody he views as inferior.
Absolutely. That's basically it for the questions. A lot of the other ones are end of the arc type of stuff.
Joel.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite moment in this episode?
And this episode, again, not great. I love One Piece. It has a lot of places where it kind of drags. They showed Usopp telling the same story to Kaya that they showed last episode, and they basically, the only purpose of that scene is to show that they have a long-standing relationship, but we've already got that built up. I do think that it was kind of interesting. You could kind of see him, he has an armband on his left side, and there was blood on it, and when he was going up to the kids, the Usopp pirates, he flips it so that the blood is kind of hidden from view or whatever. So I don't know, he's kind of smart enough to hide the blood sort of thing. I don't know how to explain it. I like the fact that he's not thoughtless, I guess, with how he carries himself. Luffy and Zoro are kind of stupid. They're determined, they're strong, they're a lot of great things, but they're not necessarily the type who seem like they plan things ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Usopp definitely seems like the most intelligent of the protagonists that we've met so far. Well, no, I'd say Nami is probably more intelligent.
Confirmed. Someone asked Oda about I can't remember, I think it was something like, what are all the smartest people from East Blue? And I think when we talked about Shanks, I mentioned that his first mate Beckham is like the smartest guy from all of East Blue. And then he specifically addressed Luffy and his crew after they leave the East Blue, and he basically goes, Nami's really smart and the rest of them are idiots, which I disagree with on Usopp. I think that he's at least marginally more intelligent in battle and how he conducts himself than Zoro and Luffy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a genius because, I mean, obviously no one's going to believe you at this point.
Sure.
But, yeah, no, he's more intelligent than the other two guys, right?
Yes.
So it's definitely right now, it's probably, in order, I'd say Nami, Usopp, Zoro, Luffy.
Okay.
In terms of intelligence.
I would agree with that, yes. I can't remember exactly when it came up, but some people have... You mentioned that you weren't sure whether Usopp liked Kaya, to use the kind of, junior high terminology, whether there was a romantic interest there. And I believe that Oda has said that the word romance doesn't necessarily mean romance. It used to mean kind of like you could have a romantic adventure, and like the Old West was romantic, but not like kissing and stuff like that. And so Oda has said that this shows romance is the adventure. He doesn't show relationships, he doesn't show love. Basically, you're going to either get love that's pre-established, you'll meet a couple, a mom and a dad who have already been together, or if there's two new people, maybe you can kind of read into it yourself, but he's not going to explicitly show some scene of someone like giving flowers to someone.
Well, that's not what the show's about. And I guess you could still have a show about all this adventure and also have romantic relationships in it, but I kind of appreciate that. Like, he has something he wants to focus on, and he focuses on it. So
100%. The targeted demographic really isn't into that sort of thing. Some people feel that media is too full of stories about romance and that sort of thing. At the same time, there are some characters. Zoro was seen training with some girl in the past. We'll get a little bit more on her in a little bit. And then Usopp spent a lot of time with Kaya. And it's hard, I think, most people that I talk to ship them, in quotes. They want them to be romantically together, because I think that audiences have a hard time seeing strong male and female friendship without immediately assuming, like, oh yeah, of course they're going to get married someday in the future or whatever.
Yeah, it's fair. Do you have any other questions for me, Joel?
I really don't think that I do. We're going to have to try to find some way to kind of spice up these episodes, but with the beginning episodes, with all the character building, it's really hard. When we get to the end of this arc, I'd love to talk more about Usopp's character and the complexities of it, but I think that there's still a little bit more that we haven't yet seen that will emerge in the following couple of episodes. So, I think that's it. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I was trying to come up with a gag.
Well, you did gag earlier. Now you have to clean up that hairball. So that's gonna be your cleanup portion for today, Mister.
Well, I mean, I just assumed you guys were gonna clean it up.
Nope. Okay, so thank you, everyone, and the outro's going to go here. Join us next week as we get into the second part of the arc. As I said, most arcs are kind of broken into the talking setup, and then there's the punching explosions near the end, and we have gotten to the punching explosions.
Yes! See you next time.
Bye. All right, folks, we've reached the end of this episode for today. It's sad to see you go, but fortunately we'll be here next week unless we get hit by a meteor. In the meantime, you can follow us on all sorts of different social media. We have Gmail, Patreon, Tumblr, all of those are King of the What Pod, so patreon.com/kingofthewhatpod, kingofthewhatpod@gmail.com, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. That's all great. If you want to follow us on Twitter, that name's a little different. They restrict the length of your handles. So you can follow us on Twitter at Kotwin_pod. That's KOTWN_pod. Just take the name of the podcast and abbreviate it.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. That can be iTunes, Spotify, or whatever. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go. We hope to grow and improve just like the Straw Hat Crew.
Thanks again for listening in. Be sure to check the feed next week for the latest episode of King of the What Now. Until then, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, that doesn't need to be literal treasure.
Hi folks, we just finished our viewing party for the next episode. Episode 13 of the podcast will be covering 3 episodes in total, episodes 12, 13, and 14. If you want to watch along before listening to the episode and our commentary on it, you'll want to watch Battle, the Black Cat Pirate Crew, Battle on the Slope, as well as the terrifying duo, Meowbin Brothers vs. Zoro, and Luffy's Revival, Kaya's Life and Death Confrontation. 3 episodes in the next podcast episode. See you soon.